What happened with Fair and Balanced? She sold her YouTube channel today for 5,000. I have not seen that. I don't know anything about it, but I would assume she's kind of tired of maybe the social media shit, and so she made 5 grand off of it. Good for her. She just had, she said she just had surgery and was recovering, and maybe she realized that during the surgery and her recovery time that she didn't really want to post anymore. Didn't want to deal with shit. You know what? Like, to be brutally candid with you guys, leading up to the Philly trip, I was almost to the point of never wanting to stream again. It was tough, man, to get on stream some nights. Because I know it sounds weird, because in theory, streaming is, and in reality, streaming is the greatest job on the planet. I can't think of anything else I'd rather do. But it doesn't matter when you're beaten down and tired and you have to. I know this like sounds whiny, but it's not intended to. It might be whiny, but it's not intended to sound whiny. Like, we don't want to give away the secret. Anything that you do, there's one side of it that is kind of the joy side, which is talking. I enjoy talking. I love the fan interaction, and I love all of that. But on the other side, there's a shitload of prep work that goes into every stream. There's a whole bunch of things that have to happen for every show, and scheduling everything out and planning to have guests and dealing with all of the contact stuff. And the more successful you are at it, the more people look for your attention. And I don't mean fans. I mean like advertisers and platforms and people trying to sell you a product to improve your streaming or to improve your results or to do this. And then every one of those things comes with fucking extra contact and extra work. And we love that you're going to try out our product. Now we need an hour of your time. Like, what, for fucking what? Like, just give me the damn product so I can try it out. It's always something extra, and each one of those things piles it on. And over the past year, while this year has been great, the amount of extra things has added up and added up and added up. And you don't want to do most of them, right? You get inundated with businessy stuff. You have a couple things that you could, or you have a couple options. You could like offload that to someone, right? Like, you could hire someone to take on that other shit or whatever. You could add on, like, you could have someone to talk to advertisers and to book guests. But then you've got a couple problems. One, if you have someone else talk to your advertisers, then you're advertising bullshit. And there are plenty of people out there who advertise bullshit. I try to personally endorse each product that I advertise. Like, I try to try it out. I want to try it out. If they will let me and get me the information, I will. If they won't do it, I don't always do the thing. I don't always do the ad. Baldo was funny. Baldo was it was funny. And I didn't try Baldo before advertising it. I just talked about it as it was ridiculous. And they gave me an affiliate link. But I never did any ad spots for Baldo. The only thing I had from Baldo was the affiliate link where I got like 5% of each sale. So every time a Baldo sold, I got like $6. Except when they were on sale, I got like 3. But all of that stuff just piled on and piled on and piled on and piled on. And it's like, I don't want to do any of this. In fact, I have like 8 meetings that I have to do right now that I don't want to fucking do at all. And some of them I have to, other ones I should. And it's just a disaster. And so whenever anybody messages me or sends me an email that says, hey, did you, like, I'm not calling you out, by the way. I'm not calling you out, but people send me a message. Did you get my email? Yeah, but I might not have read it. Or I don't know if I got it because you have a different name on here than you do on the email or whatever. But I mean, in reality, most of the time, like, I don't want to do any of that. Like, that is so far off my agenda. Like, I don't want to talk about these things. I don't want to spend time reviewing a thing or looking at stuff or whatever. And a lot of people send me stuff that, and like, I appreciate the effort, but a lot of people send me stuff that isn't at all what I, not only is it not what I want, but I didn't ask for it in the first place. And it's like, uh, they'll send you like a bunch of stuff and it's super well intentioned, but also like, what am I supposed to do with it? And what if you don't like it? Ooh, like that's really tough. When someone puts a lot of work into something and they say, "Hey, I'm going to send you something," and you're like, "Thanks. I don't want this." That part, I don't like doing that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to like tell someone that they did something and I don't like it or I hate it. Uh, and they're like, "Oh, well, here's a design you could use to sell merchandise." And I look at it and I go, "That is not, it's not even bad. It's just not me at all. And this doesn't make sense." So that those types of things. I mean, I don't enjoy doing that. I don't enjoy telling people no like that. That's the bunch of stuff. And that, like, before Philly, that was really, really piling up and piling on, along with Rumble shit and expectations. And it's so weird because the amount of shows that I have to do each month is very, very manageable. But if you're tired a couple days, like over a couple weeks, or you're really like I said, I was kind of beaten down. Um, if you're beaten down and you take like a day off, a couple weeks, and then you take 5 days off of streaming, right? Because you're out of town. Suddenly, that very manageable requirement of shows becomes, oh my god, I have to do this many shows to make sure I get done. Again, it all just kind of piles up, and then it's a bunch of pressure. And up until this year, I haven't really had that same pressure because I didn't have a contract. So now, of course, I have a contract, which is awesome in a lot of ways, but it's also an obligation that I have to fulfill in certain things. And so it's like, okay, well, I got to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. I don't have the autonomy that I had before. So then, that just, all that shit kind of built up. And there's also the, you have to find um, topics. So it doesn't matter what else you have to do during the day because you have to get in front of the camera and talk, and you have to talk about something. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to just talk for 3 hours. It isn't easy. It isn't easy at all. And people who end up trying it, just talking to your own face with no feedback from anybody else for 3 hours, it's a really difficult thing to do. I'm not saying it's difficult for me in general. I tend to be okay just bumbling through whatever, because God decided to curse the rest of the world by me being retarded enough to just talk. But it still is sitting down and figuring out what you're going to talk about. Because occasionally you can do a show where you just sit down and bullshit through 3 hours. But usually you can't do that too much. You can't do that too often. Otherwise, it's like, okay, well, what is the show? What is this? So you got to try and focus on a couple topics most of the time and finding them. There's so much bullshit. And the way that news is curated these days, and especially when you talk about a kind of niche subject of law, it's kind of hard to find legal news, especially if you don't look for it intentionally as part of your leisure. But the shit I look for as part of my leisure is like, I'll look at video game stuff, look about Dungeons and Dragons. I'll check up on girls in bikinis because apparently the computer figured out I like that. And that's what my like curated news is. Like my curated news is all stuff I like to look at, going to find topics to talk about. None of them are in there at all. I have to load like a different app and build a different algorithm through it to try and have news served to me that's relevant. And so like people are like, "Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I didn't. I wish I wish I did. Uh, I wish I saw that easily, but my news feed didn't give it to me, and I can't stand to be on Twitter anymore. I hate it. And so it's like, oh fuck, where like I miss all of these things until I go and like search them out. So it is really helpful when I see people asking about specific topics because then I know, okay, something happened in this thing. But people are like, "What's the next trial you're going to cover?" I'm like, "I don't know. My news feed doesn't tell me what trials even exist anymore." But as for trials, Critical says, "You'd make 1 million a year if you stream trials." That's true. I probably would. It streaming trials is one of the most all around beneficial things I can possibly do, and I never have time for it. I never have time for it at all.